nothing compared to Kate Plum, who got back from New Guinea. What, last night you said?
Last night.
Last night. So her derriere is dragging. Sorry, Kate. All right, we're going to start at this end, obviously, as we always do. This is a plant. If you see your plant being talked about, just raise your hands so everyone knows who you are. We're trying to prompt or get this done a little bit faster. This is Bill Weaver. Bill brings in the Cymbidium chins Ruby HMB, which I'm taking as Half Moon Bay. It's a cross between a complex golden elf by a species called Iridioides. It used to be called longifolia. Anyway, very nice, compact, thin, narrow leaves. We have a plant brought in by Eric Sale. He has Trichoglottis. Eric, this is actually Trichoglottis atropurpurea. It was named another name before, because I forget the name once they changed. Anyways, it's Trichoglottis atropurpurea from the Philippines.
The right place.
Nice intense color.
Bill Weaver brings in it's now a cattleya. This was Laelia. It's across a primary hybrid. The primary hybrid being between two species, the first hybrid. It's called Laelia or Cattleya Susanna. It's Pumila by Diana. Pumila is a bigger flower. Diana is a smaller flower with many raised keels. This is intermediate between them. Both purple, so it's right between the both of them. So that's amazing, though. I think it's so Bill also brings in a cross of Cattleya maxima, which is still a Cattleya by Schomburgkia Wellesley, which looks like it has now Laelia superbiens in it. I don't know what the other one is. So this is a cross between a species and a hybrid again. So it doesn't have a correct name or a cross name, but that's what this is. It's perfectly intermediate between both parents. We have a plant brought in by Chris Minda right here in the corner. She brought in a phalaenopsis called Celebensis. Celebes Islands are now what's called Siloaceae. And this is a beautiful species. It has mauve leaves, always a beautiful plant even when not in bloom.
That is
And it'll bloom for quite a while. As you can see, there's a long way to go in that spike. So you always have a certain number of flowers open, which gives it a nice impact, but it'll continue to grow for a while, which is a good thing. It's very closely related to, Equestris and to Lindinii and that group, Stauroglottis. Chris also brings in a master variety called Sancta Inese. This is in the group called the Caudata group. So this whole group of species, almost all of them, are very attractive. This is nice because it's kind of cream colored and kind of cantaloupe orange on the bottom half. So it's a very lovely species. You used to see it more often before, but fortunately we do see it still. It's a nice thing.
Growing moss?
It's intermediate to cool, yeah. Greenhouse cool, like it doesn't really want to get below 55, 50 maybe. Chris brings in a beautiful Dendrobium cuthbertsonii, a species from New Guinea, from both halves of the island, both countries of the island. Anyway, it's a beautiful species, long lasting. I'll go into it a little bit more. Or maybe I should just talk about it now. The flowers last up to 9 months. Need perfect air movement, water, not very much food, grows evenly throughout the year, so there's no seasons for it. So you got to have all that, or don't bother because they're not cheap. And a plant like that would be quite valuable. It's a very, very nice clone of that species. Chris also brings in the species of Dendrobium. I'm going to tell a little bit because this is the Formosae section, or also known as the Niagara hirsute group. If you look at the canes, and sometimes the undersides of the leaves are covered with fine black hair. So anyway, the flowers are generally long-lasting. This species is from Thailand and into India, I believe. This is the larger clone. There's a smaller variety called variety Janesianum. This grows in the wild in northern Thailand with a rhododendron and a Cymbidium insigne, and the three of them grow and bloom at the same time, and they all kind of mimic each other. They all have the same pollinator. Yes, Chris?
And I brought it partly because of all the keikis.
Yes.
We talked about keikis.
Yes. Keiki is Hawaiian for baby, and these plants, which send out their own roots, can be started as individual plants. So once they got a series of roots, you might have an adventitious plant like this, but until you get roots like this, you don't pull it off until you have that. So this is the perfect time to actually replant. I don't know about the season, but this stage is the perfect time to do it. This is Bill Weaver brings in this Australian Dendrobium cross. This is a Dendrobium tosca, Shiraz ice. And I don't know anything about it. It's obviously Kingianum, probably a Falco rostrum in it. I don't know what else is in it, but Bill, any idea? Okay. But these are beautiful things. And again, this group of, I probably mentioned this before, and I probably won't say it now, The dendrobiums from Australia, you don't want to get their flowers wet. Actually, you don't even really need to water them while they're in bloom. The flowers will last maybe 10 days or so. If you water them, if you get the flowers wet, they may not even last that long. So keep the flowers dry and try to keep the plant drier too. They'll last three weeks or so. A beautiful plant brought in by Susan Anderson. She brings in a gastrocallis. This is a bandaceous orchid, so it's related to bandas and phalaenopsis and such. Gastrocallis has probably, I'm guessing, about 3 dozen species. And this one's called obliquus. Anyway, they're found throughout Southeast Asia, in Japan even. So there's Japonicus, and they're Taiwan, so it's all kind of East Asia. Chris Menda brings in a Trichoceros, and that is...
You can probably just take it out.
So this is what's kind of known as Borealis, but the genus is really confused, but that's a really nice blooming of that plant. It's nice because you must be growing it kind of bright, because it's really compact.
Yes.
And if you grow them shady, they elongate more, but when you grow them compact, when you grow them sunny and bright, they're pretty compact, but they're cool growing, they're easy to grow, they're I don't want to say the Florians, but they're the easier to grow if it's close relative to telepogons, which are like everybody likes them, but nobody can grow them very easily. Yes, Chris?
Our greenhouse is not cool. It's intermediate to warm, and that's the result.
That's interesting, because they'll grow outside in the Bay Area too, so.
Yeah, I know.
Chris brings in a dendrobium, and it's in a section that you'll hear about called the calyptrochylis section. That means slippered lip. If you look at the lips, are all very cup-like. They have a little tiny hole where the pollinator sticks it in. They're usually brightly colored, and they're probably bird pollinated. They have no fragrance, and they're bright colored. Two kind of things that would tell you that they're bird pollinated.
That's not brightly colored.
So that's actually an unnamed species, or she doesn't know what it is, but it's calyptrochylis section. Calyptrochylis section. We have let me see this one. This is another one in that section. So this is another one in that same section of dendrobium, the calyptrochylis section, the cup slipper-like lip. It's called aphanochyllum, and it is that, Chris? Aphanochyllum. Anyway, it's always white. I've never seen it with any other color but just white. And it seems to bloom kind of throughout the year, which is a very nice feature. So that's Chris Menda, and her business is called The Tiny Jungle. If you've never been there, it's much fun. I go there as often as I can. Not just orchids, begonias and gesnerias and stuff. It's really, I really enjoy going there. I've told her many times. I think she probably believes me at this point. So this is another one of Chris's plants. This is another in that same section. This is, again, calyptrochylis section. This is Dendrobium lawsii. I've hardly seen any orange ones like this. They usually come in like a fuchsia color, fuchsia pink, fuchsia white, reddish orange and solid red, but I don't really see very many pure orange lawsii, so that's pretty cool. And they're long lasting, and again, bird pollinated because of the bright colors bring the birds in, but they have no need of fragrance. This is brought in by Susan Anderson. This is a Cattleya hybrid. This is called Orchidon Green Glade, and the clone is Shungetsu, the Japanese clonal name at least. But it's very beautiful. It looks like, can I see it for a second? It looks like it's a Brasso Cattleya because of the fringe that has Brasso, Ricolalia. Yeah, so it looks like Ricolalia digbyana. Okay, we have a really nice specimen of Susan brought in a Paphiopedilum spicerianum. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Not really easy species to grow. I mean, it's okay, but it's harder to get one to that size, and that's really good, Susan. You did really well. Thank you for bringing that in. That's very cool. And so that's from India region. It was lost for quite a while too. So, Glenn brings in a Paphiopedilum vegvarudianum. It's from Thailand. I think it's from the Thai-Lao border. Anyway, it's not commonly seen, but it's in the same group as Insigne and Charlesworthii and Villosum and ones that we're familiar with in the breeding and or growing this species. Very nice, Glenn. Yeah, Glenn also brings in this Pteroceros. Pteroceros are known for their kind of short-lived fugacious flowers, which means not very long-lasting at all. This one's nice. It lasts, I'm guessing, about 10 days or so. Has a nice little fragrance. Has a pocket little pouch-like lip. Very cute, charming plant, succulent leaves, layered. I really like it very, very much. Anyway, it's Pteroceros semi-teretifolia, and it's PT, like winged horn is what that means. Semi-teretical, it means semi-terete leaves. Glenn brings in a Schoen orchis. It's labeled Tixieri, but it's probably a Schoen orchis fragrans. I've never seen a Tixieri that, I think they're all fragrance. Schoen orchis fragrans has several synonyms that come into the market with sales names. Another one is Maniparensis. So if you're going to buy that or this, they're typically just Schoen orchis fragrance. What's that? Well, Cindy has the specimen size plants, but that's not. Sorry. Glenn brings in a Cattleya species from Brazil. It's one of the bifoliates. As you can see, every one of the growths has 2 leaves, as opposed to a unifoliate Cattleya, which has 1 leaf per growth. Anyway, the bifoliates tend to have more flowers, smaller flowers per head. They're almost all, they're not. Most of them are Brazilian, some extend into other countries. This one is Cattleya bicolored, flowers long lasting. It comes in a brown form and a green form. It always has a really nice, brightly differentiated colored lip. That was Glenn's also. What's that? So Florence Incerto brings in the Cymbidium. This is cutie seed.
It's cutesy.
Cutesy. I think there's an extra.
It is cute.
I don't know if that's what the tag says.
Okay, I think there's an extra I in there, but anyway, it's 75% ensipholium. Ensipholium being one of the what they call the Chinese Cymbidiums with the very grassy-like leaves. So this should be very fragrant. Actually, ensipholium is known for its fragrance. I don't know if you found any fragrance in it.
I couldn't smell anything.
Yeah. You know what? I can't smell Cymbidium sinense, and it's supposed to smell really great, and it's like, no, I don't smell anything. So, do you smell anything, JD?
The last one.
All right, and then we have a plant brought in by Jeff Harris. He brings in a Restrepia species. This is very likely to be Gudulata, Restrepia gudulata. Gudulata and Antinifera are very closely related, and even Dr. Lohr says they basically merge one into the other. Antinifera seems to be yellowish, brownish background with stripes and or spots, and Gudulata seems to be red background, reddish background, but basically they're probably the same species, just what's called very polymorphic, very many different forms of the one species. Where's your, oh, there it is. Yeah, it's like, where the hell is it? Right here. So Jeff brings in the Poroglossum. There's one now. There are probably close to 50 species, 40-something species. It's a genus of pleurothalids, meaning that there's a whole slew of about 50 genera of these. There's close to 5,000 species in this section of orchids. They're all New World. That has one of the few orchids that has a motile lip, so an insect lands on it, and it slowly closes and traps the insect there for about half hour or so, and it pollinates it, and then the lip comes back down again. It's very cool. This is Poroglossum nutivara from Colombia. One of the prettier ones with pink flowers.
So not as steady as Venus flytrap.
No, it's nicer than Venus flytrap. Jeff brings in this Barcaria. So Jeff, that says it's superbians? Is that it? Barcaria superbians?
It's on the list. I got it.
Is that a hybrid name? Because it looks like Lindleyana to me, actually. Well, you're probably right. It's right here. Oh, it says Barcaria elegans.
Oh.
But I don't think there's such a name. I'd say it's Lindleyana, but I'm not, I'd have to look up, but I'm pretty sure it's Lindleyana. No, it's all part of the plant. They're
Broke in
just,
half and I remounted it.
ah.
And then when it started blooming, I had to keep lowering it and start going more.
So, so real quickly, these are very popular to a lot of people, but a lot of people don't like it because they have these bare naked stems for the winter. You just kind of dry them off for several months. Some are warm growing, some are cool growing. The leaves go deciduous, but it's related to Cattleyas and Lalias. It used to be considered an epidendrum a long time ago. I'm guessing there's about 14, 15 species, mostly Mexican and into Central America, but they're really elegant. This is a really big spike though, that's very tall.
It grows like a lalia.
Yeah, yeah.
The lacy mount.
And so they want to be really dry during the winter. You don't want to like completely bone dry them. They don't want to be they don't want to be wet. They want to water then dry, and once a week in the winter. So Jeff also brings in a Masdevallia called Floribunda. It's the only species that reaches into Mexico. So it's the northernmost Masdevallia. Floribunda for obvious reasons, lots of flowers. So it's a very easy to grow. It's another one. It's like that's a different species. No, that's a different species. There's all these forms for that one species. So it's quite variable and confusing to many people. We have another Masdevallia there. Let's see that one. Another Jets plants. This is a Masdevallia hybrid. This is called Tiger Bay, and it looks like it's a Triangularis hybrid. I don't know much about it. Does it say anything on the label? The parentage?
It does, there's more.
Okay, so it looks like a Triangularis parent, one of the parents.
Sorry.
Okay, that's good enough.
That's
right?
okay. That's good enough. Somebody's tired. Jeff brings in the dendrobium. This is a Laturius section dendrobium. You'll see some of these in my talk. This is easy to show because in the talk you might not get it. The bulbs are fat at the top, really, really tapered at the bottom. See that? They're very, very narrow, but sturdy, strong. They're not going to tip over. Their flowers last like 2-3 months easily, and Roy Tokunaga of H&R Orchids has really done a lot of breeding with this group. Like, what's her name? His wife's name? Tokunaga? Nora, not Nora, there's another one. Lori Tokunaga? Daughter? Anyway. What did I say? What did I say? Anyway, forgive me, it's a hybrid, okay? I don't know. It's like, anyway, this one is Dendrobium Silver King. And as I said, it's in the Laturius section. It's a really good section. Atropurpurea is one. Aberrans is another one. Really nice species. Jeff brings in a Prostechia fragrance. Encyclia Prostechia were separated quite a while ago. Encyclias have bulbs that are round in cross-section. You cut them in half, they're round. Prostechias tend to be what's called bifacial. They have two sides to the pseudobulbs. The upside-down flowers don't mean anything. That's just part of the group of Prostechia. But they typically have two-sided bulbs, a ridge on either side, not a round pseudobulb. So that's one way you tell them. And another thing with Prostechias is they have a solid lip. Encyclias have side lobes. They're differentiated in the side lobes and the mid lobe. So you can tell right away.
Those smell like gardenias.
That's a really, well, it's fragrant, yeah. It's really a nice species. Larry and Roy, I saw them earlier. Where's Larry and Roy? They're right there. I usually see them at Lucky's on Slow Boulevard right on for lunch. I haven't seen them for a while. So this is a primary hybrid between Paphiopedilum leucochilum by Wen Shanensi. Wen Shanensi for a long time was thought to be a natural hybrid. It may still end up being a natural hybrid between Bolatulum and Concolor, I think. But anyway, all these belong to a section called Brachypedilum, which is characterized by this kind of succulent leaves, pattern leaves. Typically have purple on the undersides, and they actually are not really wet growing. They have a very quick drainage where they grow often on rocks. So it's not an easy group to grow for many people. But I think Concolor is the easiest of the group, but they're really lovely plants. I really like them a lot. Dave Hermeyer brings in a Cattleya dormaniana. For many years, this was the whole falseness of the genus Cattleya. For years, they said Cattleyas had 4 pollinia packs, 4 packs of pollen, and Leleas had 8. Well, that's turned out to be BS. This is one, because this is the only Cattleya that had 8 pollinia. But it's still a Cattleya, but it's got 8 pollinia. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this is kind of unique in its group. It's a Brazilian species. You don't see very much, and that's a really nice plant. That's Dave Hermeyer.
Dave, is that grown outside? Dave?
No,
Is
should
that grown outdoors? Greenhouse.
So Dave also brings in Archiphyllum. Archiphyllums for a long time weren't considered to be part of the Laelia group, the Cattleya group, but it has been determined that they are. This is Archiphyllum giganteum, although it's actually, I always think of giganteum as being about half again as big. It might be spicatum, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. They all look very, very similar. I can't tell them apart flower-wise. But it's a really nice genus to have. Asuka, who we don't see much of, hopefully we'll see him again. And San Bruno grows a lot of these outside, which is surprising to me, but they do fine. He brings them with really, really good blooming, so.
How hard or easy are they? What do
It's
they
going to be
want?
pretty easy orchids, and they do really well potted because the rhizome, like you look at a plant that kind of, each bulb gets higher, those are hard to, you got to mount them. But something like that, just even, they're clumpy. You don't keep them wet, but you don't let them dry out too long. They can't, some of the Mexican ones can dry out.
How cold can you let them get?
He must get them down close to freezing.
I grow these outside.
Yeah, so I've never tried one. I just on the space
South
rock.
Carolina,
How
Georgia.
hot can they get is the more important
Okay.
question.
I think 80, 85 is probably safe. I mean, they're going to take hotter. If you get a hotter day, just kind of shade them more. But yes, Tom.
There's a difference in something very similar in the archiphyllums where the flowers are further spaced and more spiral.
I've not noticed that, but there's like, I can think of medius, spicatum. There's several species, alpinum. Yeah, so I don't really know. Alpinum's kind of different because it's kind of red. Let's do this one here. no worries. John McKellen, right here, brings in this Phragmipedium fisheri. This is one of the group that includes, whose butt is ringing there? Anyway, not you? Okay, good. So its closest relative is Schlimmii. There's this and Andreatii, and actually even Cavacii is in this, or Cavacii is in the same group. This is Phrag fisheri. It seems to always have a weird little staminode on it. Staminode being the little shield. It's always kind of deformed. I've never really seen a perfect staminode on this species, or not very often, but it's a very, very cute. It's named after, I believe, Jason Fisher. Is that correct?
Yep.
Jason or Jerry Fisher of
I
Orchids
think-
Unlimited and Orchids Limited in Minnesota.
They're supposed to all kind of be self-pollinating too, maybe for
right?
that reason.
John says they're all supposed to be kind of self-pollinating. This is Pathophyllum Vossner butterfly. This is a cross between two. Those other ones, this one is the section Brachypedalum. This is Parvisepalum. This is very close. I guess they're fairly close. They both are similar in that the lips, the edge of the lips fold in. Unlike all other paths have a sharp edge to the pouch. These two groups have infolded lips at the top. Anyway, this is a cross between Malacoense, a large green, very tall green with darker lines that's fragrant of kind of raspberry, and Vietnamese, which has only been around for about 15 years, I'm guessing. Beautiful pink, silvery foliage, beautiful. Both are beautiful parents. So this is Vossner butterfly. John also brings in, I knew with even looking, this Phragmipedium peruflora spirit. So I guess it's named by Peruflora. The group has come to us. This is Eric Young RF 4N by Cavacii. So Cavacii is the big one they found, again, I don't know, 15 years ago?
2001.
Yeah, large. So beautiful. And it's not awarded, John. You didn't put it in yet?
Well, that one has a color break on the flowers. I took
Dude,
it over
color
to.
break?
The first flower was bigger, and I took it over to Oakland because I didn't realize they don't do judging there anymore.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's not for a while, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, very nice. And then we have a little Phalaenopsis brought in by Chris Minda. No, Chris Nietro, sorry, Chris. Phalaenopsis Jennifer Palermo. This is a primary hybrid, two species, Violacea from Malaysia and Tetraspis, both in the same group. I'm not sure where Tetraspis is from, but anyway, it's a nice cross. Chris, they must use a Cerulean, where's Chris? They must use a Cerulean Violacea, it looks like, huh? An Alpha Tetraspis? Cool. All right, we're getting down here, getting down. All right, we have a Laelia species, one of the few things that stayed in Laelia. So the only thing that stayed in Laelia were the Mexican Laelias, one of them going down into Panama or so, and then the things that we used to consider Schomburgkias, those are all now Laelias. So this is Laelia gouldiana from Mexico. They actually didn't know, and I'm not sure they still know where in Mexico it was found, but it's a very similar to autumnalis, but the leaves are more sharply pointed. But it's a reliable grower, it grows outside in the Bay Area. It's, well, mine's still in spike, so it's a ways away, but it's a really wonderful, easy to grow outside plant. I think it's anyone that lives in the Bay Area should grow it if they have any orchids outside at all. That's a nice plant. That's John's also. What's that? And one more, unless we got any behind us. No, one more. We've got this, looks like a Catamodes or something. This is Larian royus. It's a Cycnodes. This is a cross between two genera. So Cycnoches are the swan orchids. CYC is the root for swans. Cygnets are baby swans. The genus swans are Cygnus. So Cycnoches chlorokylon, which means green lip, by Myrmodes badia. And the two groups are both in the Catacedinae. So Myrmodes badia is typically a yellow to red flower, and it has these asymmetrical one-sided flowers. Cycnoches have male and female flowers. So have you noticed any weird, like, different flowers that were aberrant or anything, or are they all pretty uniform?
It only started opening on Fridays, so.
Oh, okay. What you see is what you get, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anyway, very nice. Very nice. Hope I didn't miss anybody's plants, but thank you very much.